demo. Then topics. We'll have topics for sure. Some stuff. No release.
Admin menu.
Yes. Admin menu. And status Orchard 1.
Sarah said he has a demo. Sorry to interrupt him.
The demo. I noted it.
He's fighting with a microphone.
Then we when was that? Orchard 1. Then and December we saw that, so nothing to add. OrchardCore. Here I was in branch. This is name. And I will filter out the things. Let's then because while we were doing the meeting, the solution stuff. This one, right? Yeah. Here, so Renovate update, MailKit and MimeKit in one step, beautiful. Add the dependencies label for Renovate requests.
Sorry, just a quick question. Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Add the dependencies label for Renovate request label. Okay. Remove duplicated 2.0 nodes. Merge. Upgrade file YesSql 5.2. Did you ship it, Mike?
In preview.
And it works.
Yeah.
It's not about the YesSql version. It's because it's just a different exception.
Yeah.
It's the patch that we did in ID code.
It works for me.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully I'm not missing anything, but it works for me.
Every time we fix a bug, I'm like, there can't be any other bug. We found everything. It's been years. It's used everywhere, so it must be super stable. Fix layer translations. Translations. And a new one. Update dependency Serilog.AspNetCore to V9. We talked about it last week about this PR during the meeting. The fact that we have two versions, one for .NET 8, one for .NET 9, and just because I like to insist and explain to people how it works, here we target 9 because they depend on .NET 9 other packages shipped with the runtime or abstractions, and same thing here because this one doesn't have dependency on the .NET 9 ones. And let me show you Aspire, which you know, Aspire return. Just to show the issue that we have all along with that. This one, so Bradley was the author of MySQL driver. You know MySQL, you know .NET, so you must be using the MySQL driver that Bradley is writing, and we wanted to update the package for MySQL connector, which is another thing, bumping the version to 9.0, which we shipped recently. But I'm like, okay, before it was pointing to the 8.0 version, which was targeting maybe .NET 8, and then it would work also with .NET 9, and it didn't have any .NET 9 dependencies. But if I look at this one now, sure I need to explain that, but before mentioning that, you guess where I will go. This new package, which is still in preview, depends on when it targets .NET 8 and .NET 9, because there is no specific .NET 9 target. It depends on Entity Framework Operational 9.0, which itself could have two TFMs, but it doesn't. It also targets .NET 8 by importing 9.0 things. And that's typical of EF, because EF support follows the .NET runtime support, which means the LTS of EF is the 8.0 version. The STS of EF is the 9.0 version, which means this package from MySQL now can't be imported in a project that depends on both .NET 8 and .NET 9, that targets both .NET 8 and .NET 9. And be careful, meaning that even YesSql, which will depend on MySQL connector, won't be able to update to 9 unless there is a specific TFN in YesSql for 9 that points to MySQL connector 9, and a specific TFN for 8 that points to MySQL. I'm not sure it's not an issue today. I haven't verified the recent package dependencies, but if you look at, for instance, say this one, now you see we are still pointing to 8.05, SQLite. Ooh, SQLite is pointing to a 9.0 version. So what does it do? It's fine. The 9.0 version points to a .NET Standard 2.0 and doesn't have any dependency on 9.0 stuff. So this one is fine. A 9.0 version of SQLite is fine to target anything else. Okay, so just insisting, and this is a pair we had. That's why we have two for Serilog, and that's why we just have one for some of them. But be careful whenever we update to a new version that we don't pull .NET 9 packages, so .NET 8 TFM that we target. Roles with no permission are auto-migrated to administrator roles. Super bad. Hopefully, but fortunately, there was a new release 2.13 release this fix. 25 point there. We can see that we can't here. So what do we have? This one fixed. So this one was fixed also in 2.3 by Mike. So a migration issue. What can a user without permission do? I'm wondering. Roles with no permission.
It's a role. You could add the role, but don't assign any permission to it.
So it's a, but then you still have the administrator role because you have the role with nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
So you, okay, interesting. And the other one that was shipped was this one: fixed intermittent redirects during external activity. That's weird, but I would trust you. Expose property of ITrackingConsentFeature and cookie policy in Liquid. Okay, so feels weird. It feels weird to have that in that project/file. Okay, 1 second. I need to answer a text exceptions. Eye tracking, yeah. So I was saying this, the location of this thing is in the generic display liquid. So where is it coming from? Standard. This is just that if we do an if something, it says, yes, I am something. Get value, get tracking feature. ITrackingConsentFeature. Oh, what is that? Where is that coming from? The ITrackingConsentFeature. So that's something in .NET, in ASP.NET Core.
It's in ASP.NET Core.
So that lambda location is fine. And I didn't know about it. Interesting. Okay. So it contains data about tracking consent.
Right.
Right? Lazy resolution, so that's great. Then we have can track, has consent, and we have documentation. Awesome, good job. Eye tracking consent. Okay, fix intermittent behavior, that's the fix we saw, and 213 is shipped. Job, visible tabs in docs. This is from James, we joined the triage meeting on Thursday. Merge the changes from 213 to main to update the versions, the docs, and everything. Ensure checked boxes are clear in OrchardCore.Forms. I think we mentioned that in the previous meeting. But this comment explains what's happening, and like other input control, the checkbox value is only included in the submitted data if the checkbox is currently checked. If it is, then the value of the checkbox value attribute is reported as the input value, or on if no value is set. So if you don't set a value attribute in your checkbox input, then the on string will be used. And this is what this thing is checking. Do you have either the field value defining in the field, or on, meaning you didn't define any value, but the checkbox was still checked. So that's what this fix is doing. Checks the extension of fellow media files without case checking. Okay. Makes sense. I don't even understand. Yeah, I mean, probably we store them in lowercase, and then someone locally has files in uppercase.
It's actually only in the media field if you set different settings in the media field. It's not in the gallery in the media library app.
Okay. Add Spark to Series 9, update dependency in JsonSchema to 1. And oh, because well, there's another one for that. Oh no, I wanted to update this PR. I wanted to update this PR with a test, but as soon as I could push something on this branch from Renovate just erased my changes. So I had to create another PR just to add a test on this field because sometimes we need to validate that, and I'm like, we don't even have a test for that. It's using a single place. So I did a test here. A test to verify that when we call the function that calls the library, then it just renders what we want. This is the thing here that is calling the schema. something is generating a schema for the tenants configuration. So we have some editor, Monaco editor, the tenants configuration for the profiles, yes, for tenants profile, the list of features you want. And this schema here is generated based on the class, and this will be fed into the Monaco editor to be able to enter some JSON that will be bound to the class. Interesting usage. Update patch release issue template. Update elastic Docker image to React. Even though we had, it's in the documentation. A link to the file. Okay, which is an example of using Elasticsearch in Docker. Quite complex. Oh, but it's not just Elasticsearch. It's 2 nodes of Elasticsearch and the Kibana. Update Elastic again from Renovate for major change, and then okay, minor version on the same YesSql. Then there is a pending with update. Oh, new features in feed. You will like it. You will like it. So what do we have? We have release. We have this one. This one we don't care, but this one is important. Implement parentheses support, which means you might remember there is an hello function option in the feed-passing option, which lets you define and call functions in Liquid, or even define external functions, but also macros. Inside the Liquid template, you can define a macro that will be available as a function, like with parentheses, like a JavaScript function anywhere. And I believe in OrchardCore, this is enabled. Even though I'm not a fan of enabling these optional features in Orchard, it's available by default. Now there is also hello parentheses, which allows to write a script like this. So this is a filter. You see, inject 1 plus 2 times 3. And you can have parentheses there, for instance, which in Liquid, you can't by default. You can't have parentheses. That's why it's disabled. And parentheses, yes. So you could not do parentheses. Now you can. If without that, it will do 1 plus 2 and then times 3. Okay, with the parentheses, now it will do 2 times 3 first. Yeah, so that's new, and it's not just there. There are lots of places I should want to put that. Even for the logical expressions like and or, now you can also group. If you don't do that, it will be evaluated from right to left. Super weird, but that's how it works. Examples, documentation. Yeah, so that's new. Maybe if you want to use that, at least we should integrate probably the option in the OrchardCore options, if it's not already done automatically, like binding any field options to a specific node in the app settings. I don't remember if we do that, but that's a new feature. So maybe we like it. Here. Oh, but it hasn't been merged yet. It should be merged. As long as the test passes, then there is no issue with that. Phone number update, SDK AWS update, remove reCAPTCHA and detection threshold. Mike, I didn't even realize there were so many files touched. Is that you? I missed something?
No, it's a lot of CSS because I rebuilt the CSS. I added, yeah, for the margin bottom, for the reCAPTCHA.
Okay, you added something and then maybe the CSS. That's why it's in changes.
Yeah.
Cool. So this thing, someone reported that ReCAPTCHA was not working, at least a feature of the ReCAPTCHA module, which is the detection threshold. There is a number that you can set that will show ReCAPTCHA only when a specific number of misses in ReCAPTCHA were entered, like wrong values. No, in the login, if you enter a login many times wrongly, then at some point after this threshold, ReCAPTCHA will show up. And it was broken because it depends on having a single machine. So there were issues with how it was implemented, and it was very hard to fix. I had to remove the drivers and create other ways with that, so it was not good. And after talking, Mike, Sultan, I think, and the creator of the issue, we decided to just remove this feature because it's hard to implement. And mitigation being that the login already has a way to lock an account if you type too many times the wrong password. So we say just rely on that and not on the fact that ReCAPTCHA will appear at some point somewhere, but it's too hard to implement. And also nobody had never.
Can I just mention something?
Sure.
So previously, we had the ReCAPTCHA had two modes. It was always show, and there was another mode, which is if you, like it does a counter before it appears. So moving forward, we no longer have different modes. ReCAPTCHA, if you add it, it will always be visible. And so basically, we dropped that one mode that does the counter, and we left the show always or always show. And we dropped the idea of having different modes. So that's just how it is now.
It just works all the time. So that or this one was, so Mike added some documentation for this shape, and then we realized it was had nothing to do in the placement file, so Mike left it in a new file. Okay, just to show the list of these shapes that you can use. Explaining. Oh, wait, so many things in this PR. At the same time, when we saw that the refactoring and we realized you could only render a ReCAPTCHA tag by using the tag helper, because the logic was in the tag helper. You see all this red stuff, generating a div class, ReCAPTCHA, whatever, it was in the tag helper. And we had maybe something else that was using the tag helper to render it. So now it's different. Now it's a shape here, ReCAPTCHA shape. Why is it called ReCAPTCHA shape? Wait, okay, no. The ReCAPTCHA shape is a class name that defines a ReCAPTCHA method, which is the shape type, and returns additional content, takes a language and an unload properties, and now the logic, instead of being in the ReCAPTCHA tag helper, is in a shape. So you can even change that by creating a custom HTML file that will handle those properties and render what you want, but you should not have to. Something like, is it possible that, or is it done that the tag builder, is it possible that we also merge the attributes and classes from the shape itself and the ID and everything? That would be interesting to see if we can do that, probably. See what I mean? The fact that a shape, an I shape, has ID, classes, attributes, property. So we should be able to grab them and put them also as other CSS class attributes in case you want to add something to the ReCAPTCHA div here. I'm guessing that to look into that.
Well, I think you can. In the base class, you have a property, so you can put like prop dash something, and that will add a property
on the
to
tag
the tag. Yeah. I see.
And now the widget is
no.
there, so that's why. But Shape has that also. The .css class, .add class, .add attribute. But I'm not sure we merged them here. There is a custom tag builder or custom method to do that in Orchard to merge them. Just into code. Okay, we'll see later. So that's good. And then we capture structure listen, which is custom method code here. Not even sure it was handling that before. Was it handling the culture of the captcha, or it was a recent edition?
No, it was handling it. It was there, yeah.
So new shape, remove feature. Aggregated change. Drivers, there is one less driver, I believe. Otherwise, it's the same thing. That's it. That's good. And documentation. Is there a liquid tag, or because there is a shape, you can always call the shape liquid tag and render it. I don't think there is a liquid tag. See that.
Yeah, that's exactly why I didn't add one, is because you have that shape.
Okay. Nice. Query published BlogPost by default in the blog recipe. Query published BlogPost by default. It's specific to the scene. And BlogSql for recipe.
Before, it would just query all the content item of block type. And really should be only the published by default, and that's the change.
And I believe we didn't think about it, because when you set up the recipe, you just have one blog post which is published. So we will not figure out or realize that it was also showing the other ones until someone actually creates blog post. Okay, so that's something. Same thing for everything clear. Okay. Elasticsearch and listen. They look super similar, and they are. It's just the JSON formatting which is different. Awesome. Migrate the OpenIddict module to OpenIddict 6. So new versions. Maybe. Yeah. And making changes, so everything that. Good. Good job, everybody. Demo. If there is no other questions, comments, we'll do the demo with Sarah. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Your turn.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I answered, but I was muted. Sorry.
Thank you. First is a small feature in the OrchardCore UI Testing Toolbox, which is that we have this shift time feature. It just adds a single thing that it removes the default iClock implementation when the feature is enabled and adds a custom one. And the custom one is really just a wrapper around the normal one, with the one exception that it has this shift property, and that's why it's set to singleton, the service, so you can access this across requests. And then when you use UTC now, then it adds this shift value to it. And the other features are exactly the same. You have this helper static method to safely update it when this feature is available. And how it works is that we have a controller where you can set this value in seconds or in days. And you would use this to change the time. For example, if you want to test if a feature would behave differently when a time after a certain amount of time. For example, if you have a subscription that would elapse or run out of the allotted time, or for example, if you have some kind of discount, for example, then maybe you want to use this to check how the site behaves after a certain amount of time when the discount would have run out, that kind of stuff. In here, we just have a very simple example where I just add the new widget that simply just shows the current time using just UTC now. And this shows that it basically, every OrchardCore feature that uses iClock is affected. Because now, if we go to the home page, it shows the current date. But if you go to this page using the helper method, and then visit the home page back, then the widget has updated, showing that the time has changed. So it's not a huge feature, but it can be really helpful when you need it. And it was something that I have missed occasionally from OrchardCore, so it was a good thing to add. The other two features I want to show are related, and it's something we actually use in one of our client projects where we ended up using OrchardCore as a headless app. So there is a separate developer who creates a front end for it using Vue.js, but as a single page application. So every communication happens through an API. And because of that, if we want to do UI testing, what we would want to do is to do UI testing in a way that we can interact with that front-end application. And for that purpose, what you can do is during configuration, I've added this front-end server class, which like defines an application that would be invoked using just as a subprocess. And for example, in this case, we use this HTTP server, which is a very simple Node.js server, and it can be invoked using npx, which means that you don't even have to install it for the duration of this test. But as I said, in practice, we would use Node.js to invoke like Vue.js app or React, that kind of stuff. And you can configure this command, and this is invoked right after OrchardCore is started up. So it actually has access to the to a port that we assign to it randomly. So you can have multiple front ends running simultaneously. And it also has access to the backend port of OrchardCore as well. So it can refer back to it by passing it in to the whatever application that you have for front end as a command line argument. But in this case, the point is that now we have a different application and we can interact with it just the same way as we would do with any OrchardCore application using the UI Testing Toolbox. So it is kind of a transparent way to interact with a front end. And that's pretty useful if you are the OrchardCore developer inside who creates a test. But if you're not, that's why we have the other feature, which is the ability to run tests written in JavaScript. As someone who would develop in Vue.js or React, they would be more familiar with JavaScript, so it's more relevant. And what this does is basically just one command where you pass in a JavaScript path, and it and additionally maybe npm dependencies, and then it sets it up in the build directory as if it was a node project, and then executes the script. For example, we have here such a script, and I have added some sleeps, so we can actually see because it runs pretty fast once it has loaded in. But the point is here that you can use native Selenium JavaScript bindings and interact with the OrchardCore web app after it has been set up as if it was any other application that you would test using JavaScript. So again, it's kind of a the point is to have these features. Should have actually paused it. So the point is that these features can more or less seamlessly interact with each other, and you don't have to always think about what kind of system I am in right now. And you can use this setup that we had here very in a way that if you remove these commands, it's very simple already. But for example, you can add the wrapper function to look at the test name and get the path based on that. So you can have extremely minimal amount of C# editing needed for each test. So you can hand it over basically entirely to the JavaScript developer and don't have to worry about overlapping knowledge. Here it's an example that it actually opens in a separate window. And as you can see, it acts on its own, so it's fully automated. And how this works is actually not that complicated, because it just invokes pnpm for the setup and just the node.exe as for the actual execution. But for example, here, one thing that's good is that we have added this inspect. So if you have a node, you have a JavaScript IDE that you are used to, you can attach it and debug the JavaScript itself. Although unfortunately I can't demo that right now because I don't have it set up. But I think you can imagine how it feels to have a breakpoint inside the JavaScript code. And if you smoosh these two together, then you will have the feature where all the JavaScript stuff in the front end is done in JavaScript by the JavaScript developer, and all the OrchardCore stuff can be done in by the Orchard developer, and then they would only just do tests for the API itself and not for the front end. And I think that's about it, unless you have some questions about it.
Want to start? I don't want to start. Yes, I'm done once. Can I start? For the clock feature, we have a night clock, and this precedes any work that .NET has done for that, because in Orchard 1 it was introduced already. So we have an night clock also in Orchard Core. What about using the new clock abstraction from .NET since .NET 8, because now we can use that, the time provider? Have you heard about it?
I'm not familiar with that.
It's iClock, but inside .NET, meaning there is first class support for these abstractions, even in the async timeouts and so on. So you can just pass your own custom time provider. The default one being the one based on date time UTC now, but you can provide, like you did, custom implementation for test or others. But
you would also have to implement that for Orchard Core in the first place, right?
Well,
like you have to replace the main time provider with that or iClock first, and then for sure.
Yeah, and also it's not iClock, our interface, it's the one in .NET. That would be interesting to use the official .NET interface and use that. We could still be backward compatible by keeping the iClock and providing the same implementation, but we will make it obsolete and just use the .NET one.
Yeah, I agree. And you can replace this clock to just use iClock, that iClock under the hood, instead of whatever we have here. Current instant.
So if anyone listening to the meeting wants to start working on that, at least if it's made backward compatible, because we don't want to break anyone. We just want to switch our code to the new default.NET type. See if it's possible. Good, thank you. Anyone else? Did you add some test with archive later or stuff like that uses time in OrchardCore?
Sorry, I didn't hear you well.
Did you see if it was possible to add some tests, community tests that will use the advanced clock? Or do we have that for the archive later feature? Checking if it's working. I'm not even sure we have tests for that.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Cool. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks.
I will share my screen. Share my screen. This one, and it's opened on the functional test. So your version works better because it works with C# and JavaScript. This one just works with JavaScript. But in case someone wants to add a test, this is what it looks like. Generate a tenant, in this case, log, create a tenant, and then to test. Can we visit the home page, and does it have subheading class and that contains this text? And when we go to the admin after login, then does it have this admin menu? That's the test it's doing. So if you want to add a test in the existing setup, this is where you should add the files. And I'm seeing that because I saw some updates here. You see, phone number. What's the best way to ensure that this is not breaking? Would be to add a simple test, functional test that goes create a field with this library, like the phone number field or whatever, wherever you use it, and then check that it's working. We can create a content item, type a phone number, submit, and save that. That could be just one or two functions. So validate that. Cool. So Mike said we need to look into more important stuff. Which is somewhere. This one. What's the status?
I just want to kind of get more input and just finalize it. You know, the idea is if we can roll it out, that people will try it out and see how they feel about it. Give them more time. So Zoltan had a couple thoughts. We kind of went back and forth. So one thing he's thinking about is that features, the feature menu, and also the admin menu, currently they are in tools, and he's suggesting to move those under settings. And I don't agree with that. So I just want to know what others think about that.
So what is a setting? What is a tool? What is a design? It's always based on interpretation. And I haven't read the comment, but I assume your idea is that this is not a setting. This is
correct.
Yeah, because I know what you meant by settings, which is not what everyone means by settings. And I know what you mean by tools, which I personally don't like, but I'm fine with that. And I think Zoltan didn't agree with the design thing to have workflows there because it's not UI design, but for me it is design. This is designing websites, like as in architecturing. So it's just about everyone will have a different opinion about that. It's like we can come with your admin menu, I will come with my own admin menu, and whoever else will, Zoltan will come with his own admin menu. That's the issue with that. There is no answer. It's like, but that's good that you raise the issue because people watching the meeting should give feedback and tell it, because what will happen is that nobody gives feedback, you win, you publish, and people will start complaining and will be like, well, why didn't you complain before?
Yeah, I mean, the idea, once we get a release, a preview, hopefully people will actually see it and they'll actually try it out. And I think at the end of the day is that you have to try it out to see if it makes sense. Like, does it feel natural or not? We can sit and debate, but at the end of the day, if you don't actually take it and actually try it out, it's really hard to tell if it's really a good thing or not. So that's really the thing. To me, I think settings, like anything, like any form that has inputs where you can, plug in numbers or whatnot, that would be settings. In features, it's more for a tool that allow you to enable, disable feature. So that's why I think tool is the proper way for it.
For me,
not
it's
in
design.
setting.
For me, it's not a tool. It's not something that, oh, I use it and then I don't use it. Like, it's not a tool. I don't like these tools menu, personally. If you had to put somewhere features to me, it will then be in my design section. Oh, I want to design the site, so I will enable a feature for that. But for some time, it's settings. For you, it's tools. So it's crazy, right? But there is no,
Yeah, definitely there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a matter of, what would the majority want, and let's just go with that.
And that's why I also think let's just go with that, because people will get used to it. And when they want to find features, they will go in the tools menu. And everybody will find just a question of habit. Even if the admin is super not intuitive, as you use it, as you say, like, well, you get used to it, and this is where it is. Your brain adapts to that. It helps to make it good on the first try, but yeah, I'm not worried about it. It's there.
I think the benefit here is mostly to centralize the settings, because those were all over the place, and it's much better now.
George, where would you put the features?
I'm fine with both, because
what's both? Settings?
Yes, the tools,
design, or tools?
I can even understand Sebastian with design. I personally think I would keep it in tools.
Okay, tools. Sebastian,
for me,
without making complicated.
No, because
settings are tools. Pick one.
No, the issue is that design is same thing for settings. If you don't explain the definition of what settings is, as you explained, you can interpret what settings is. Same thing for tools, you can interpret. Like media, I think Zoltan said media is not content, and I'm like, you could disagree that media is not content. Why is article content and not media? Like, see, it's so much.
Profiles could be in settings as well.
Media could be in settings. Tools could be access control could be in settings. Like, everything could be in settings. You could have content and settings and be done. Main menu could be in content or settings. Why isn't main menu in? I know, it's like, it's so crazy. That's why
we should go with.
We go with one.
Suggested to allow modifications in the.
It's hard. That's hard, because it makes things complex. No, we need a dictator that says, this is how I see things, this is how it is, and done. And
yeah, and then go decide.
That's what we did when we started Orchard. We set 5 items, these are the 5, and we put stuff there. If it doesn't fit, we make it fit. We find a place in the 5 items we created.
I mean, at the end of the day, once we release this and people actually try it, then if we feel like, people are saying, no, it just doesn't belong in tools, then we know it's a wrong decision, then we can move it. So I think the quicker we can get rid of this PR and merge it, people will test it and try it out.
But when you say people will test it and complain about it, how many users do you think Orchard has had? I would say in thousands, okay? I hope more, like even end users clicking on the menu. How many have complained that the features was not placed correctly, that the content definition was not placed correctly, that the design was not designed. How many of them? One.
I had multiple from my side. And
yeah, but who? Yeah, sure. How many bugs were found? 0. You created a PR.
0.
So how many do you expect people now with your changes to complain? They will complain that you changed, not if it's better or not. They will complain that you move their cheese and they can't find their stuff anymore because
then they don't care. If they don't care, then oh well.
That's why I'm saying you can come as many times as you want. People won't complain. They will just learn to live with it. The same way I don't like Visual Studio menus, but I never find a bug. Nobody would care. They will not change it for me because I just get used to it. Yeah, so we did our best effort. It's good enough. I mean, good enough for me and must be perfect for you, and people will agree with whatever you decide. It's like too much talking for something that people will adapt to. So yeah, we should ship and wait for people to complain. If they complain, I'm sure nobody will complain. They will complain that you changed the stuff. That's what I think. If they complain, maybe they won't even complain about that. They will just be like, "Yeah, that's all true. Always change it. Whatever." Content is the same. Settings is almost the same. It was there before.
The content is not the content type definition move, right?
Yeah, it's in design now.
Oh, that's okay. I like it. So
it's in design you want.
But media not being in content, I'm like, well, yeah, fine. If it's first level thing, media, but if you manage blog posts, you never go there.
I think it's better to have that media inside its own node, like root.
And then I will not add any more first level thing. There should be
isn't anymore, yeah.
There should be a unit test that will verify there is not a new one, because we accept a feature, there is an PR, and we didn't realize like all the ones that were created in the first place, workflow, whatever was at the first level. We should have said no, has to find a place somewhere in some menu. At least in our code, then you are fine to create, because here this is the default set of settings, right? Now you have your own tool that you build. It will just add to these ones, which means now we have 1, 2, 3, let's say 6, 7. Okay. Now, anytime you will want to add one for your own company, it will make 8, 9, 10, 11, because it's very important for your company, right? It's the app that you manage. So these should have more priority than any of these, almost. So which one do you remove then if you want to make space? You can't, right? There is already a lot of them, 7. I'm not counting main menu because you can move it, probably it's just a picture, but that's already taking a lot of space. Let's see. Search, access control, tools, everything should be in settings. The rest should be in design. We've done 3 items. Cool. So we will merge and then we'll see what people say. Oh, we got something back. Yay.
Yeah, we did. He's happy.
Oh, and be careful. So there is the silent majority or minority, whatever, the people who don't want to take the time to say something because they don't care, but they are like, no, when on Twitter you see a poll saying, hey, who would be interested into me doing a demo about that? I mean, 2 people are interested, so they will answer. And then 2 million people don't give a shit, but they won't say anything. Like, nobody cares about your stuff, but because 2 people said it, you will work 10 hours on that. Like, yeah, don't be careful about the work you put. So, yeah, someone said that's good, that's great. Lots of people will say either they don't care and you don't see them, and that's fine for you because you can do whatever you want, or they don't bother like complaining because it's not a good thing. I complain a lot. That's me. Okay, I'm also here for that to safeguard anything. But some people will complain more than me and won't say anything, or they will be silenced because you don't like people to complain. Will be tell them, hey, do your own thing if you don't like it, right? So they won't say anything. So let's see what's happening. Like your colleagues, they complain about the menu. They never find an issue.
Oh yeah, they file an issue with me.
Do they like your menu?
I haven't shared that.
So yeah. Awesome. Good job. Lots of work. That. See the rest on triage. Oh, and a special word for James. I see another PR here. James has been working on improving the doc. We already have one PR merged. This one is refactoring the menu completely. Is there a screenshot you showed us something? Maybe there is a link somewhere, or is it Antoine who showed us a link? I don't remember. But we could. James, do you have a link to the doc? I think you showed something. Can't hear you, but you are unmuted, so that's weird. Now you're muted, so definitely won't be able to hear you. Okay, so there was a link somewhere where we could see the documentation working without the tabs at the top and everything on the just admitting James again, just in case. So do you think it fixed your microphone? You're still muted. No, you need a new microphone. So sad. If you have a link, paste it in the chat. I saw something. Maybe it's in the chat history. Yeah, I found the link. Here, I found the link in the chat history because Antoine shared it during the triage. So there used to be a tab here. Oh, there used to be a tab. Oh, because it was merged, yeah. There used to be a tab. So now we don't see it anymore. Well, there used to be a tab there, but now the tab is merged in the single tree here on the left. And everything is there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so for the PR, today I just fixed the conflicts, and I undid 2 changes before. So
Okay.
actually not a whole ton is being updated, but I did go back and update the entire file structure and all the internal docs references in the code base, which is why the PR is so massive.
And it's merged. So in a few minutes, we should have a new doc. Structured, reorganized, better. Right? You see. Thanks a lot for that. Time to go. Time to go. So there will be meeting on Thursday for triage, but no meeting next week. It's Christmas. Not everyone holidays, but at least nobody works. So we won't have a meeting.
Yeah, no meetings, right? Both days.
No meetings. Both days.
Yeah,
Well,
just
not
making sure.
not next Tuesday and not the Thursday after 26th. Yeah. So we'll see each other on New Year. Yeah, on New Year. Oh, maybe no, because it's there is New Year right after. So 2 weeks of meetings interrupted. And we'll start the next meeting after the 1st of January. So if it's a second,
The 7th. The 7th will be our next meeting.
Oh boy.
7th and 9th.
I don't want to buy a calendar. I just want to see the image. Okay, so 20. No, we can do a triage on the 2nd. I'll be there if someone wants to join. Because I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, 2nd. Okay, 2nd is a third. Yeah. Never mind. Yeah, 2nd and 7th. Yes.
Yeah, and then okay, so we'll see each other on the 2nd then. Well, on Thursday, and then on the 2nd. Okay, all good.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Lauren. And
Thank you.
holidays means more time to do open source contributions.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
See
Bye,
ya.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Nice. Cheers.